I never imagined I'd find hope in an elevator until a distress text changed my life forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was supposed to be a routine trip to my building's rooftop, just to get some air, to escape the chaos of my life. But standing there, my heart raced as the elevator doors closed. My hands trembled against the cold metal as I pressed the button. Each floor passed like a hammer striking my skull. The familiar ding was soon swallowed by silence. I felt a pull in the pit of my stomach. Something was off. The lights flickered stupidly overhead. My heart pounded louder. I remember the smell of metallic tang, mixed with the scent of old wood and exhaust. I was alone. My phone buzzed violently in my pocket, a message that skimmed the surface of my reality like a stone skipping across troubled waters. I read it. Help. I'm in trouble. I need you. It sent chills cascading down my spine. My thoughts raced. Who was in trouble? Was it Angela? My sister, my best friend, the only one who understood the dark shadows that loomed over my life. My heart hammered as anxiety seized me. I typed back, fingers shaking, "Where are you?" No response. I looked up, confronted by the flickering lights. My breath itched. A claustrophobic sensation gripped me. The elevator jerked. Come on, come on!" I begged it. "Please." Outside the elevator, life throbbed on. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, laughter filtered in, and I was trapped. The air felt thicker, almost suffocating. My mind raced with dread. Time stretched. Every second felt like eternity. Panic clawed at me. I felt my chest tighten. Fear was now a living creature, gnawing at my insides. The message haunted me. Was someone really in trouble? I thumped the panel. "Let me out!" My voice echoed, swallowed by the emptiness around me. I thought of Angela, of all her struggles, of the darkness that threatened to drag her down. Would I really be the one to save her, or had I already failed? The lights flickered again, casting shadows that danced like demons around me. I could feel the cold sweat trickling down my spine and the dreaded fear gripping my heart. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again, breaking the silence like a bolt of lightning. It illuminated my face for a moment, a beacon in the darkness. With shaky hands I opened the message. "I'm scared, please, don't leave me." My breath caught. This was worse than I imagined. My mind raced. What did it mean? Who was in trouble? And why couldn't I feel the universe spinning in the right direction? I looked up at the ceiling, desperate for answers. The lights went out. It was just me, plunging into a well of darkness. Heart pounding. I was on the verge of breaking. But deep down, a flicker of hope ignited, as if someone would guide me through the shadows. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The darkness wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, amplifying every heartbeat, echoing in the confined space. No light, no sound beyond the frantic rhythm of my pulse. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to combat the rising wave of panic, breathing in deeply through my nose and out through my mouth. This was not just the fear of being trapped. It was the raw fear of losing someone I loved. My fingertips brushed the cold metal of the elevator wall, seeking a connection, a solid ground in this spiraling chaos. I thought of Angela, the gravity of her words weighing heavily on my mind. "I'm scared, please, don't leave me." The anguish in her message tugged at my heart, a reminder of the countless nights we'd shared discussing our hopes, our fears, and her struggles with darkness. I thought I knew her. But what if this time it was different? What if this was the moment where everything fell apart for her? "Stay with me, Angela," I whispered into the void. Perhaps she could somehow hear me, maybe she was just a breath away. I clutched my phone, replaying the messages, my lifeline fraying with every moment I was lost inside this metal coffin. Suddenly, the elevator jolted, and the faint hum of machinery returned, a sign that had once inspired dread now igniting a speck of hope within me. Would it move again? Was help coming? I pressed the button multiple times, my stomach twisting with desperation. Please, not now, I murmured to myself, closing my eyes against the flickering thoughts. Images of Angela flooded my mind, a laugh shared over coffee too late at night, her fierce gaze when she stood up for someone, the vulnerability of her confessions during our late-night chats. I had seen her battle scars. I knew her demons. But had I underestimated the depth of her struggle? An unexpected ding pierced the tension, and the elevator jerked again, before finally descending, albeit disquietingly slow. I took deep breaths, trying to steady myself. The door stuttered open with a reluctant sigh, revealing the dimly lit hallway ahead. My heart raced as I stumbled out into the unfamiliar corridor. The air felt stale in contrast to my freedom, but I pushed on, shoving my phone into my pocket. Angela's life never had a clear path, but I wanted to cut through this darkness that enveloped her. "Where are you?" I muttered, hoping for some sign, some glimmer that would guide me to her. Searching for familiar signs in a maze of indistinguishable doors, a flicker of movement caught my eye. A door at the end of the hallway was slightly ajar, the muted light spilling out like an invitation. My heart surged as I approached. Pushing it open, I entered a cluttered room scattered with boxes and forgotten memories. And then, the sacred chords of empathy struck me. Across the room sat a small child, no older than 8, clutching a stuffed bear that was tattered and worn, the fabric almost an extension of his forlorn expression. His eyes, wide with innocent tears, looked up at me, surprise mingling with fear. "Are you lost too?" he quietly asked, his tiny voice filled with challenge and courage. Though I had come in search of Angela, I couldn't ignore this moment. "No, I'm not lost. I'm looking for someone, but it seems like we're both searching for answers, aren't we?" I crouched down to meet his eyes, attempting to instill a sense of comfort rather than panic. "Do you think they'll come looking for us?" He sniffled, gripping onto the bear tighter as if it were his only tether to hope. "Yes, I do," I said, slowly realizing the truth in my words. Faith was the fabric of hope I desperately needed now. If I could offer courage to this child, could I also extend it to Angela? That thought flickered like a candle's flame, warm and inviting in this somber space. "You have to believe someone will come, just like I do." For the first time since my descent into chaos began, I felt a small spark ignite within me. I took a breath, gathering the pieces of clarity amid the uncertainty. We sat together in that room, a lost adult and an innocent child, each bound in our loneliness, yet sharing hope amid desperation. But just as I began to feel anchored in this connection, a loud crash reverberated through the narrow corridor beyond the door, curdling my blood. Before I could move, a shadow loomed in the doorway, a figure standing suspended between light and dark. My heartbeat thundered as I recognized the silhouette. The familiar voice cut through the chaos. "I told you to stay away." It was Angela. But before I could call out, fear twisted in my gut as I noticed the deep shadows under her eyes and the bruise blooming on her wrist. Whatever troubles she faced had followed her even here. "Angela!" I gasped, my voice barely a whisper, realizing with sheer terror that I was unprepared for what lay ahead. The guardian of hope I thought I could be now stood before a girl wrestling with her own demons, too deep for me to fathom. She looked at me, vulnerability mixed with defiance. "You shouldn't have come." The door shut behind her, sealing off the light and plunging us back into darkness once more. As the door thudded shut, a suffocating silence enveloped us, pressing against my chest, matching the frantic rhythm of my heart. Angela's ashen face was illuminated only by the ghostly glow of the fluorescent light in the room. I leaned closer, absorbing the weight of her presence, the whirlwind of emotions swirling between us like a storm. "Why did you come here?" she demanded, her voice sharp, but behind the edge lay a tremor, a hint of the fragility I knew too well. Her eyes darted to the child in the corner, who had gone silent, clutching his bear, a living testament to innocence amid chaos. "I couldn't just let you go through this alone," I replied, desperate to bridge the chasm of fear that had suddenly widened between us. "Stay out of it. You don't understand." "You never have," she interrupted, anger flickering in her gaze. "I'm not the person you think I am." Panic rose within me, threatening to spill over. My hands trembled, not knowing if I should reach for her or step back. "Angela, please, I know you're struggling, but we can figure this out together. I want to help." For a moment she faltered. The defiance melted into despair, and the shadows in her eyes deepened. "I don't want to drag you down with me," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. The child shifted, his little body trembling slightly. "Are you guys friends?" His voice broke through the tension like a lifeline. "You can help each other, right? Like superheroes?" Angela turned to him and softened. "Yes, something like that," she managed, her exterior cracking just a little. But her gaze drifted back to me, a tempest of conflict swirling beneath her surface. "Angela, we've made it through so much together. You've always been my light," I pleaded, feeling my resolve harden against the rising tide of uncertainty. "Please don't shut me out now." With a sudden snap, she turned away, facing the wall, as if it held the answers I desperately sought. "There's something you don't know. Something I've hidden because I thought it would keep you safe. But it's too late now." The room felt like it was closing in on me, the weight of her words heavy and unyielding. "What are you talking about?" "Things I've done. Things that haunt me," she murmured, her voice barely audible yet saturated with pain. "Tommy, my brother. He's gone because of me." My breath caught in my throat, and the child's bear slipped from his hands, hitting the floor with a muted thud. "What?" "Angela, and no, I didn't listen when it mattered. I thought I could handle it. I thought I was protecting him," she confessed, a shudder running through her. "But I failed. And now it's like I can feel him slipping away every single day." The finality of her words sunk in like a nail embedding itself into my heart. I felt a rush of helplessness. This wasn't just about the two of us anymore. The weight of her grief had woven itself into a tapestry of despair, dragging me along with it. "Angela," my voice was trembling. "You can't carry this alone. Not anymore. Let me help you bear it." But she shook her head, tears glistening like distant stars in her eyes, starved for release. "It's already too late to help him. And to help me would mean facing the truth one am terrified to acknowledge." From the shadows, the child spoke. "But what if the truth can help? What if you can find him again?" His voice wavered, but the innocence behind it glimmered like a shard of hope. Angela turned slowly to him, the vulnerability beneath her facade slowly emerging, and for a moment, I felt as though we were all three grasping for the same lifeline, each battling our own demons yet linked by a fragile thread of hope. Maybe the truth can set you free," I urged, taking a step closer. "But you need to let me in, Angela. I don't want to lose you in this darkness." Her bluish-gray eyes locked onto mine, naked and raw, and I felt the spark still flickering between us, refusing to be snuffed out. But just as I began to feel that flicker could ignite into a flame, a deafening crash echoed from the hallway. Footsteps thundered closer, heavy and deliberate, reverberating through the walls like an omen. Angela's face twisted with fear, her heart racing visibly. "They found me," she gasped, panic darting through her features. "We need to go now." Before I could respond, the child scrambled up, clutching Angela's hand tightly, awakening a protective instinct nestled deep within me. I reached out. "Angela, wait!" But the door swung open, flooding the room with harsh light, silhouette standing in the doorway, a menacing figure shrouded in darkness. "Angela! Come with me," the voice commanded, sharp and demanding. Time stilled as I witnessed the fear in Angela's eyes deepen, desperation mingling with something darker, as she pulled away from me. "No!" I shouted, but she was already stepping toward the door, a shadow of the girl I had come to love. In that fleeting moment, as the truth and the darkness clashed, I realized the depth of the abyss that lay before us, and the strands of hope I had clung to became frayed, teetering on the edge of obliteration. The uncertain darkness was creeping ever closer, but it was not just the shadows that threatened to swallow us whole. It was the fear of secrets long buried and a past that refused to be forgotten. And then, in the haze of confusion, Angela's voice shattered the impending dread, solidified by conviction and fear. I can't go back. Not again. With that, she turned, the force of her decision pressing upon my very soul. The child squeezed her hand tighter, and I stood frozen, aware that whatever lay ahead would shatter the fragile peace we had only just begun to forge. In that terrifying flux, as our paths diverged so drastically, I could feel everything unraveling, a million threads slipping through my fingers. As the shadow advanced, the line between saving Angela and losing her tightened to a breaking point, leaving me gasping for breath in the turmoil of our final confrontation. The metallic clang of the door slamming shut sent a shockwave through the small space, leaving the hallway soundless but for the pounding of my heart. Angela's back was turned to me, her silhouette tense and braced against an invisible storm, the child still clutching her hand, mirroring her fear. I took a step forward, the ground underneath me feeling unstable as desperation clenched my throat. Angela, please, I pleaded, my voice cutting through the suffocating silence. Whatever they want, we can't let them scare you into going back. You deserve to fight. I can't fight anymore. She spun around, the anguish etched into her features rendering my words useless. I can't keep running from my past. It always finds me. The child's small face crumpled with confusion, his innocence a stark contrast to the turmoil surrounding us. What does that mean? He asked quietly, and his simple question sliced deeper than any accusation. Suddenly, I realized it wasn't just Angela who was at risk. This little boy had stumbled into our storm unprepared, and all he wanted was a path to safety. It's okay, Tommy, Angela soothed, her voice trembling but determined as she crouched to meet his gaze. They'll protect you. Always. But the urgency in her tone underscored a different truth. She was not just fighting for him. She was grappling with the demons that had haunted her, the ones that now threatened to pull her back into the darkness she sought to escape. Angela, we're stronger together. We always have been, I said, drawing closer, willing her to understand the faith I had in us. You're not alone in this. She looked at me, her expression flickering between fear and something else, something like hope, but then it wilted under the weight of her guilt. Don't you see? This is my mess. I don't want you to get hurt because of me. You deserve better. Better than what? Better than fighting for you? For him? My voice cracked, the urgency climbing as I took another step towards her. If you give in, if you walk away, they win, Angela. You don't have to do this alone. The shadows shifted behind her, and I could feel the oppressive presence of whatever had hunted her down creeping closer. The moment hung heavy in the air, filled with a tension that seemed to thrum with our shared pain. Tommy tugged at Angela's arm, his small voice soft but resolute. I don't want to lose you, Angela. We can be brave. Together. Tommy, Angela choked, the weight of his words landing directly on her heart, where it must have clashed against her turmoil, igniting a flicker of resilience. I could see the walls she had built around herself quavering, crumbling beneath the warmth of his innocence, and the bond we shared. I want to believe that we can find a way out of this, I urged, grasping onto that flicker, urging it into a flame. But you need to choose to let me in. Please, Angela. Eventually she lowered her gaze, the anguish in her eyes morphing into something different, complicated yet softer. For a lingering moment, the world spun around us, suspended in time, the fear we shared hanging precariously as the footsteps thundered ever closer. I'm scared, she finally whispered, her veneer of bravado cracking under the weight of her truth. Scared of what I might have to face, and scared of what would happen if I let you. If I let either of you in. Just then, a sudden screech pierced the atmosphere, and the sheen of the door rattled under the pressure of an unyielding push from the other side. Angela jumped, the primal instinct of survival terrifyingly present. Run, she gasped, urgency directed towards Tommy, who was still clinging to her with wide eyes. We don't have time, no! I almost shouted in defiance, unwilling to comply with the notion that retreating would serve us in any way except to deepen the abyss surrounding us. You can't sacrifice yourself. You're not just a target, Angela. Your Noti can't let you see me like this, she said, shaking her head vehemently, tears streaming down her cheeks. I can't do it again. Not after Tommy, Not again. It hit me then. The gravity of her lost Tommy had been more than her brother's shadow. He was a representation of all that she had lost and all that still could be lost. What do you mean? I breathed, a kernel of understanding stirring. There's something you don't know about him, she pressed, her voice fraying. And if they take you from me, a sudden realization struck hard enough to stop my breath. You think they'll take him, don't you? Footsteps echoed just outside, thudding against the floor like a countdown. The moment of clarity wrapped around us, gritty and fearsome, each second leading us closer to an inevitable confrontation. Angela, we can't stand here waiting. My instincts screamed for action, for a way to confront the shadows. I reached out, gripping her arm gently but firmly, desperate to share strength. I will not leave you. In that instant, her hand slipped from Tommy's, and she turned to face me fully, eyes ablaze with an emotion I had never seen before. Defiance. We'll face this together, she declared, the tremor of previous uncertainty vanishing. The door buckled outward as if eager to break, the threshold of our fears straining against the will to carry on. In a heartbeat, I caught a glimpse of the shadow behind the door, a dark mass waiting to enter our realm. Together, I echoed, but as the door finally burst open and chaos surged in around us, a chilling scream heralded an unexpected arrival. Angela! It was a voice I recognized, one heavy with disdain but laced with something darker, an edge of danger. As the figure cloaked in shadow stepped forward, I felt a sense of impending doom settle like a blanket of ice. Whatever fragile plan we had forged, whatever connection we thought might lead us to safety, now trembled on the edge of oblivion. And in that moment, as reality unfurled, I realized that we were not just fighting against our past. We were battling something greater, something that might tear us apart forever. Just before everything spiraled into chaos, Tommy's voice broke through, innocent and bold. Are you superheroes? Then let's be brave. And as we braced ourselves with hope flickering desperately against the darkening tide, I knew without a doubt that courage would be our beacon in the storm ahead. The air was thick with tension, each breath drawn rasping past my constricted throat as the darkness surged around us. The figure stepping through the door was a shadow I recognized all too well. Lucas, an embodiment of the chaos that had haunted Angela and torn at the seams of our fragile peace. He advanced slowly, the harsh fluorescent light casting jagged angles against his face, illuminating a smile that sent a chill racing down my spine. Look who's still playing the hero! He taunted, his eyes gleaming with a mix of amusement and malice. I should have known you couldn't resist the chance to get involved, to save the princess and her little prince. Angela's posture shifted instinctively, an old reflex surfacing in the face of adversity. I could see her edging towards Tommy, instinctively shielding him with her body. The child had already turned pale, the innocence of youth dulled by the weight of reality crashing in on him. I felt anger blooming in my chest, threatening to spill over as I faced this embodiment of torment. What do you want, Lucas? I barked, my voice steadier than I felt. You've already taken so much. What more could you possibly need? He laughed, low and dangerous, a sound that twisted my gut. Oh, it's not about need, he replied, casting a disdainful glance at Angela. It's all about taking back what's mine. Revenge was never meant to be sweet, it should be gratifying. Angela's hand tightened around Tommy's. You think you can intimidate me into submission? She challenged, the defiance in her voice a fierce ember against the shadow threatening to consume her. You're wrong. You've already lost. Lucas leaned in, his expression changing from amusement to something deeper, more sinister. Lost? That's adorable, Angela. But it's you who hasn't understood the game. You're still playing in my terrain, and that little boy. He gestured toward Tommy, who was trying fervently to hold back tears. He's the perfect bait. Do you think I'd let you go that easily? At that moment, the weight of his threat landed like a physical blow. Tommy's eyes darted to me, searching for reassurance that I could not fully impart. Instead, anger coursed through my veins like wildfire, crystallizing into a singular thought. There was no turning back. Not now. We won't let you take him. I stepped forward, resolve bolstering my stance. If we're going down, we go down fighting. Lucas regarded me with condescending amusement, as if I were merely an amusing insect he'd chosen to toy with. Courage is precious, especially when misplaced. Let me show you how the real game is played. Before I could react, he flung something at Angela's small device that clattered to the floor and emitted a pulse of light that swirled like a low tide rising within the space. The air crackled with tension, and I felt the ground shift beneath us, an electrical current thrilling against my skin. I glanced at Angela. Her expression morphed from anger to horror as she realized what he had unleashed. Is this some kind of tracker? Smart girl, Lucas sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm that grated on my nerves. You see, I don't play fair. Now every move you make will be monitored. Every decision, every moment will be trapped within my grasp. You think you're brave? Let's test that resolve, shall we? Panic began to rise like bile at the back of my throat. We had a small window to act before the stakes escalated beyond our control. We need to move, I managed to say, reaching for Angela's arm, willing her to shake off the paralysis of fear that gripped her. We can't let him suddenly. The spark of hope that had ignited in the moments before was dashed. The lights flickered violently, shadows springing to life, morphing into forms that loomed around us like predators in the night. My heart raced. Lucas didn't intend to strike, he meant to torment us, drawing out our fears with a wicked glee. Tommy! Stay close! Angela shouted, her fierce maternal instinct igniting as she grabbed the boy's shoulder, pulling him to her side protectively. Just then, there was a sound of solitary, persistent ringing like a distant bell tolling. It broke the tension that suffocated the space, a lifeline amidst chaos that seemed tied to the world beyond this confrontation. My heart raced with curiosity as I turned toward the source. I asked someone trying to call for help. I glanced back at Angela. We can use that, but before I could clarify, Lucas froze, his expression morphing into concentrated fury. No! No one is coming for you. You're mine. In that moment, an unexpected flicker of defiance sparked within me, igniting my determination. We're not yours, Lucas, I said, my voice firmer than I felt, as I stood ground beside Angela and Tommy. You're wrong if you think you hold this power. We are stronger together. You've forgotten that in your greed. Tommy, sensing the shift, took a courageous step forward, trembling but unwavering. You can't have us. We're superheroes, remember? You can't scare us. The sudden silence that followed felt like a gasp. A rush of pride washed over me as I realized how powerful that little boy's resolve was amidst the darkness that surrounded us. A fire ignited in Angela's eyes, ignited by her love for her brother and the strength she found in this moment. I witnessed the transformation anew, her fear melting into unyielding courage, her spirit rising against the tide. The lights continued to strobe in a frantic rhythm, the barriers around us maintaining their sinister presence, yet I held on to a shred of hope, a sliver of possibility that if we pressed onward together, we could overpower the odds. Lucas snarled, his frustration building, but before his rage could boil over, the door behind him suddenly crashed open once again, revealing another shadow, a figure familiar yet unexpected. Stop! A commanding voice rang out, slicing through the chaos like a knife. I couldn't see their face, but every drop of hate I felt towards Lucas shifted into confusion as the new presence entered the fray. Get away from them! In that moment, the room, alive with discord, narrowed to the battle lines we were unwillingly forced to draw. What had once felt like a hopeless fight against fate now hinged on a thread of mysterious revelation about to unravel, and as I stood on the precipice of uncertainty, clinging to the resolve of my two comrades, I couldn't shake the feeling that everything we'd known was about to be turned on its head, and the stakes we were bound to face would ripple far beyond the confines of this moment. The air hung heavy, even as that commanding voice carved a clear path through the turmoil. I squinted into the dim light, straining to make out the figure that had rushed in to confront Lucas. It was then that recognition crashed over me like a wave, followed by disbelief. Sam? I managed to choke out, hardly believing that the person who had once been my closest ally could be the savior materializing at such a critical juncture. Oh, it's just one surprise after another, Lucas jeered, his gaze darting between us, a mixture of rage and disbelief painting his features. Didn't expect you to show your face again, did you, Sam? What's this? The desperate hero coming to save the day. Sam stepped fully into the light, the tension that had bound the room compressing with every step. Not just for you. For them, he replied coolly, fixing his eyes firmly on Angela and Tommy, whose grip on one another had tightened as the events unfolded. Don't let him fool you, I warned. Lucas has a game plan that the tracker, Sam interrupted, his tone shifting to urgency. I heard the commotion, but I knew Lucas wouldn't come for you directly. I had to see for myself. He approached, a fierce determination coiling around him. We can't let him get away with this. Tommy's eyes widened, a flicker of relief dancing across his face despite the fear shouldering its way back into his small frame. You're here to help us? He asked, doubt shrinking his brave stance. Absolutely, Sam assured him, kneeling slightly so he was at eye level. Together, we'll take on Lucas. You know how strong you are, Tommy. Remember what we talked about? Yeah, Tommy replied, hope pushing against the walls of panic. I'm a superhero. Angela glanced at me, her expression a mixture of gratitude and desperation. What now? Now, Sam said, his gaze steady on us, we need to outsmart him. This tracker of his? We can turn it against him. If we can access the system, we'll be able to identify the monitors he has and maybe even disable his control. The flickers of hope that had sparked moments earlier ignited into a raging fire. Where do we start? I asked, ready to follow this new line of action. Tommy, Sam said, handing the boy a small gadget, can you blame your superhero powers on this? It's a decoding device I've been working on. If anyone can crack through Lucas' madness, it's you. Tommy took the device, his small fingers wrapping around it with newfound responsibility. We'll try, he confirmed, his spirit starting to rise again as adrenaline coursed through him. Stay sharp, both of you, I warned, glancing back toward Lucas, who was glaring at us with furious intensity. We need to move fast. No one can tip him off that we're about to turn the tide. Just as Sam began explaining how to connect the device to the tracker within the room, the flickering lights stilled, casting us into an eerie silence. Lucas, realizing our intentions, stepped forward, his face contorted with rage. Oh no, you don't get to play heroes here, he seethed, lunging toward us. With a swift motion, Sam thrust out a knee-jerk defense they'd rehearsed countless times before. He could only buy us moments, but in those precious blink-and-you-miss-it seconds, every ounce of hope hinged upon the unity we'd forged and the passion burning in each of our chests. Do it, Tommy! I yelled, urging the young boy onward in that critical moment. Tommy's small frame focused, his eyes narrowing as he began inputting data into the device, his fingers flying over its buttons. I could see the determination etch itself across his features. That brief flicker of childhood seemed to mingle with his newfound resolve. They were not simply words he'd memorized, but bonds he was forging amidst the chaos of their reality. Come on, he muttered under his breath, sweat gathering at his brow as he cracked the codes slowly, methodically. But just as the telling beeps of success echoed in the room, a harsh laugh echoed from Lucas. You think I'd let you get away with that? You're just delaying the inevitable. Before I could form a response, shadows erupted from the corners of the room. Distant figures materialized behind Lucas, their faces hidden but the energy crackling with ominous intent. It was as if a darker force had joined him, closing us off from both retreat and ascent. Who are they? Angela whispered, her tone trembling with fear. I could only watch, heart racing, as realization dawned on me. Each figure was a ripple of the past, roles played like echoes of our deepest fears. Ghosts brought to life by the turmoil Lucas had unleashed, a new layer of challenge, as if we were trapped within his twisted game. The revelation rumbled like thunder in my chest. If we were to escape not just Lucas's grasp but the bindings he had wrapped around our souls, we would have to confront these phantoms, confront our own truths before we could even think about emerging victorious. Hold tight! I called out, my voice infused with a mixture of fear and determination. We can do this if we stand together. But before we could take action against the specters clawing their way nearer, a chilling voice pierced through the Shadowsa voice that wrapped around me like ice. You thought you could escape, didn't you? It hissed, and a wave of recognition slammed heavily against my heart. In that moment, all clarity unraveled beneath the weight of my own realizations. Clenching my fists, I prepared for the battle that awaited, knowing full well that this was only the beginning. The echoes of the past had returned, dragging their memories back into the fray, and I was left hanging in the balance, towing the line between hope and despair, with no clear alternate path set before me. As I stood there, my breath caught in my throat, the chilling voice loomed over me like a storm cloud ready to unleash fury. The shadows shifted, and I felt a familiar coldness engulf the room, an embodiment of my deepest regrets and failures. The figures moving forward wore the faces of those I had lost, the loved ones I had pushed away in my naive quest for freedom and vindication. "Get back!" I shouted, stepping defiantly in front of Tommy and Angela, whose eyes widened with fear and disbelief. But to stand firm here meant confronting my own ghosts, and I wasn't sure I was ready. "Still trying to play the savior?" one of the shadowy figures hissed, a smirk curling across its lips. "You failed them once. What makes you think you can save anyone now?" A sense of dread wrapped around my thoughts, constricting tighter with every word. I could feel the heat of Lucas's venomous glare boring into me, fueling the resolve rising like a tide within. Before I could act on that instinct, Sam stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with me, his gaze fierce and unwavering. "We're stronger now," he declared, radiating a courage that seemed to saturate the air. "It won't be like before. This time, we fight together." Our shared glances held a depth of understanding that just moments before was clouded by confusion. As I glanced at Tommy, who had instinctively nestled closer to Angela, a flicker of light broke through the dark encroaching shadows. The young boy's spirit was not entirely quashed. His grip on the decoding device remained steady, a tiny bastion of hope amidst the chaos. "Remember, no matter what, you exist beyond your past," I whispered to him, barely audible over the ominous whispers creeping closer. The darkness thrummed with an eerie anticipation before shifting toward me. One figure stepped out. It was Caroline, my best friend from high school, her once bright demeanor cloaked in a darkness that felt all too real. "Why did you leave us, Mia?" she asked, her tone both accusatory and sorrowful. "You chose your ideals over our friendship. Look where it got you." A pang of guilt rushed through me, but alongside it came a realization. The past was a prison I had allowed myself to be trapped in. "I didn't mean to." "But you did," she interrupted, stepping closer. "You erased us for your own sake." Desperation clawed at my heart. "I know now that I can't ignore our pain. I won't let you down again." In that moment, something shifted, a flicker of recognition in her eyes, a softening of her stance, as if she might break free from the grip of the shadows surrounding her. "Can you truly see us? Can you face the truth?" Suddenly, Lucas howled with laughter, a cruel echo that sliced through the fragile moment. "Such touching sentiment. But you're all just specters of your own failure. How can any of this be real?" But instead of crumbling, I felt my resolve solidify. "We can rewrite our story, Lucas. We are not going to fall back into the abyss of lost connections." I reached out toward Caroline, who hesitated, the faintest flicker of light breaking through the layers of darkness surrounding her. Underneath my grief and shame, I could still feel the remnants of hope. I glanced sharply at Sam and then at Tommy and Angela. "You can't win this battle with despair, Lucas. Together, we can break free." Just as the words left my mouth, I could see its shadows flickering, wavering like a flame battling against the wind. Caroline began to step back, uncertainty washing over her countenance, while the others lingered, resolute in their newfound determination. "Tommy!" I called, delivering a jolt of encouragement. "What's happening with the device?" "Almost there." His small voice resonated with tenacity, fingers moving deftly over the buttons. "Just a few more seconds." Hope poured into me like a bomb. Perhaps we could dismantle Lucas' machinations. The underground of doubt quaked beneath us. Just then, the shadows surged forward, sinuous tendrils lashing out like serpents desperate to tether us back into despair. "Do you really think you can escape?" Lucas shouted, rage fueling his assaults. I felt a surge of courage. "We are not defined by our past, Lucas. This time my voice held new power. And neither are we what you want to make us. The shadows flickered violently at my defiance, and something palpable changed in the room, as if the air crackled before lightning, the essence of our joined spirits pushing back, forcing the darkness to retreat. Go, Tommy, I urged, barely able to speak over the din of chaos surrounding us. Just as he took a deep breath and hit a final command, a blinding flash of light erupted from the decoding device. It illuminated the room, momentarily blinding the shadowy figures, forcing my fears to the ground. But in the brilliance of hope, I felt a sharp pang of vulnerability. What if this didn't work? And just like that, I found myself teetering on the edge of the unknown once more. The light dimmed, and in its aftermath, the dark silhouettes started dissipating, their cries echoing like whispers in the wind. But in the spot where Caroline had been, there was now a flicker of something tangibly, a key, glowing softly, shimmering with possibilities. Before I could grasp its weight, the room shook violently, and I heard a deafening roar. Lucas's fury erupted with unrestrained power, crashing around us. You think this is over? You will regret this day. My heart raced, but amidst the fear, a newfound fire ignited within me. I had to make a choice: face the darkness surrounded by fear, or take hold of the flickering light of hope that dangled before us, even as Lucas's rage threatened to tear us apart. With one final glance at Sam, Tommy, and Angela, I made my decision. We would fight. We would overcome. But even as I took a step forward, the world around us collapsed into chaos. The shadows returned, reformed, and twisted, and Lucas's chilling laughter echoed in the darkness. You think you can choose? I control your fate. Before I could respond, the floor beneath us splintered apart, and as I fell, the glimmer of the key dangled just out of reach. I was blinded by fear, yet captivated by the light at the edge of my fingertips. And just as I toppled into the abyss, a voice I thought I'd lost to the shadows whispered faintly, "You're not alone. Find the light, Mia." A cold sweat dripped down my face as I plummeted, trembling with the knowledge that hope was close, yet the darkness loomed ever larger. What lay beneath remained a secret, yet I could sense the end of one journey and the ominous beginning of another, as the fabric of our intertwined destinies began to unravel. As the darkness swallowed me, the sensation of weightlessness crept over my body, disorienting yet oddly liberating. My heart raced, pounding in rhythm with the thundering echoes of my doubts, fears, and regrets. I couldn't recall how long I felt. Time itself felt distorted, like a dream where the rules of reality bent and twisted. Just when it seemed it might never end, I landed softly, as if drawn into a tender embrace. The muted chaos above me faded into silence, and I opened my eyes to a surreal landscape that felt both foreign and hauntingly familiar. Colors swirled around me, painting an ethereal canvas, illuminated by a light that danced gently like hope itself. In this extraordinary realm, I stood before the remnants of my past. Ghostly images flickered around me like fireflies. Scenes from my life, faces I cherished, and moments that shaped me played out, ethereal whispers floating through the air. There were good times, but shadows lingered at the edges. Anguish crept into my heart, a haunting refrain of choices made and paths untraveled. Mia, a soft voice pierced through the haze, drawing my attention. It was Caroline again, but this time, she appeared as she had been, radiant and alive, free from the dark shroud that had once clouded her. I remember this place, I exclaimed, an emotional swell rising within me. Our childhood treehouse. Yes, she replied, her smile tinged with nostalgia. It was our escape, our sanctuary. A place where we dared to dream. But I let you down, I said, shame flooding my voice. I chose freedom over our friendship and ended up alone. A flicker of sadness crossed her face, but she stepped closer. You were searching for answers, Mia. We all are. We were never really lost, we just forgot our way together. You must choose to find it again. The light around us shifted, and the air thickened with an impression of longing blended with understanding. What if I can't? I whispered, the words slipping from my lips before I could cage them. You can, she assured me, her features softening, and suddenly, the moment felt magical, not perfect, but real, filled with the complexities of friendships, failures, and growth. There's a path ahead, but you must confront the darkness. Embrace the light you hold and carry it back with you. A warm wave of determination surged in my chest. I thought of Sam, Tommy, and Angela, their faces alive in my memory, their trust in me unyielding. I felt their unwavering hope and shared purpose burning like a beacon, urging me to rise from this moment of darkness. But before I could respond, a sharp crack pierced the air. The serene moment shattered as shadows rushed around us, twisting in a frenzy of fury. Lucas' boisterous laughter reached my ears, reverberating through the air like thunder. Did you really think you could escape me, Mia? The warmth of Caroline's presence wavered, and the scenes of tranquility twisted into chaos. I felt my grip on the brightness faltering, threatening to plunge me back into the abyss, yet Caroline refused to let go. Face him, Mia. It's time to fight, she urged, her voice steady and resolute. You have the strength to choose how this ends. With every ounce of courage, I closed my eyes, recalled the brightness of the key, and felt the embers of resilience flare within me. I envisioned the bond one had built with my friends, their collective courage binding us together against the tides of despair. I am not alone, I shouted, inhaling deeply. I have the light. I choose love and friendship over despair. The images of joy and sorrow whirred around me, enfolding me in the memories we had crafted together, the laughter we shared, the tears shed, the times we stumbled but got back up. In that moment, a force surged through me, a tumult of energy igniting like a wildfire, pushing back against the shadows encroaching upon my heart. Stand by me! I cried out, channeling my strength and the passion for my friends. We are more than our past mistakes, the shadows hissed in response, flickering erratically as if trying to quell the uprising of my resolve. But I felt warmth radiating out from me, swallowing the darkness inch by inch, giving breath to the fading glimmers of Caroline's spirit surrounding me. Together, I repeated, steadfast in my belief. We will overcome. But, just as the shadows began to dissipate, a sinister crack echoed through the air, and I felt a tug emerging from the darkness. A shadow hardly discernible from the others surged forward, rooted in rage and malice, the embodiment of everything I had once feared to confront, my own guilt, my own regrets. Enough! Lucas' figure solidified, larger and angrier now, rippling through the chaos with palpable vengeance. You will not take this from me. I will reclaim what is mine. A breath caught in my throat as uncertainty struck. What had I unleashed? The descent of my very essence felt as if it was being sucked into a vortex. Time itself paused as I held on to the shimmering hope radiating within me, grasping the delicate balance between light and darkness. But just then, I caught a glimpse of a new light flickering behind Lucas, an unfamiliar force that pulled the shadows apart, revealing a figure intertwined with the masses of obscurity, hidden beneath the layers of despair. Mia, it's not just you, the new voice resonated, breaking through the chaos. A tone filled with warmth and familiarity that filled my heart with overwhelming emotion. You don't have to face this alone. In that split second, everything froze. The shadowy tendrils coiling around me loosened their grip as I awaited the unexpected revelation. Who was this new force? As Lucas' fury roared around us, the shadows lurched, and I braced myself for whatever would come next. A choice lay before me, yet it was obscured by the struggle for light amidst the relentless darkness, and I knew the answers I sought were still shrouded in the shadows, waiting to be revealed. The echoes of chaos danced around me as Lucas loomed larger, embodying all my fears in that swirling mass of darkness. My heart raced, uncertainty choking my breath. I had ventured deep into the surreal realm, determined to confront my shadows, but now the weight of my choices felt heavier than ever. Mia, listen! The newfound voice said again, breaking through the cacophony. It had a soothing quality, a sound that reminded me of home. It offered a glimpse of solace amid the turmoil. You don't have to stand alone in this fight. Let me help you. As if the world had paused to grant me this moment of clarity, I strained to peer through the layers of shadow surrounding Lucas. Just beyond his fury, another form emerged, a silhouette bathed in radiance, putting forth an unyielding wave of hope that pushed against the dark tide. Who are you? I called out, my voice trembling yet filled with an ember of determination. I'm here to remind you of your strength. the figure replied, stepping closer. With every step, the shadows recoiled slightly, as if they recognized the long-lost force that opposed their grasp. You've fought battles before, and each time, you've surprised yourself with your resilience. As the figure drew nearer, my breath quickened, recognizing the essence behind those words. The figure began to morph, shedding its ambiguity until I could finally make out a familiar face. It was Allison, my childhood friend, an unwavering beacon of light whose laughter had once filled my heart like sunshine. Allison? I breathed, disbelief washing over me. But how can this be? I'm a part of you, Mia, she answered gently, a bittersweet smile lighting up her face. The part that believes in love and friendship, that believes in you. I've been with you all this time, even when you felt lost. You need to remember that. Lucas snarled, his shadowy form shifting violently, desperate to drown out the warmth radiating from Allison. You think she can save you? She's just a memory. Look at what you've become, Mia. You are nothing without your fears. No, Lucas. I am more than my past, I countered, feeling an electric jolt of courage flow through me as I stood slightly taller. I am the love I shared with my friends, the kindness we extended to one another. Allison is right, her light lives within me. With newfound conviction, I grasped for the light insidian illumination twinkling like the stars in a darkened sky. We are bonded by experiences. We are fierce in every stumble. Together, we embrace our mistakes, transforming them into lessons learned. Allison stepped forward, her presence bringing a warm glow that illuminated the path ahead. Together, we can cast away this darkness. Remember those who matter most and unite their strength with your own. The silence grew palpable, as if the very air held its breath, suspended in this moment of realization. I called to my memories, reaching back in time: Tommy's fierce loyalty, Sam's vibrant laughter, Angela's unwavering support. With each name, luminescent threads of their spirits flickered to life around me, weaving an intricate tapestry against the encroaching shadows. Together we rise, I proclaimed, my voice echoing through the ethereal landscape, powerful and resolute. The light around me pulsed in response, reverberating with each heart I had touched, igniting the courage I needed. Lucas screamed, his darkness buffeting against this newfound force, but it was too late. The shadows began to falter, stretched thin by the intensity of my love-me resolve. But then, the very ground beneath us trembled, and a dark fissure split the landscape, the shadows writhing to reclaim their strength. You think you can fight me? Lucas hissed, his voice twisting like a viper. You still have no idea of the sacrifices that others will pay for your defiance. Before I could respond, another crack splintered the ground, and I watched in horror as a figure emerged from the dark, a person I had thought lost forever. My heart seized. It was Sam, his expression torn between despair and defiant hope. Mia! He shouted, reaching for me with outstretched arms, his voice breaking through the chaos between us. You don't have to lose me too, no! I cried out in desperation, my heart breaking at the sight of him caught between light and shadow. Sam, hold on. I'm coming for you. But before I could move, the shadows surged like a tidal wave, momentarily engulfing his form. No! You must stay strong! He yelled, his words stretching toward me as if tethering him to my soul. In that agonizing moment, I realized the truth of my struggle. It was not merely against Lucas, but against the weight of my own fears of losing those I loved more than anything. The thought of losing Sam propelled me into motion, a tidal wave of emotion crashing over me. I will fight! I screamed, channeling everything I held dear, the laughter, the friendship, and the fiery determination that burned bright. With Allison beside me, I stepped forward, light slowly enveloping Sam in a cocoon of warmth, pulling him back from the abyss of darkness. But Lucas roared in anger, the shadows swirling violently around him, and as he lunged toward us, everything erupted into chaos. And then, just as the last flickers of hope intertwined with despair, the world around us spiraled into blinding light, erasing the line between dreams and reality. I reached out, desperate to keep our connection alive, but the brilliance overwhelmed my senses. As my grip slipped, I could only hear Sam's voice echo, filled with urgency, Mia! Don't give up on us! Then, everything fell silent. Had I lost them all over again? A suffocating fear clamped my heart, but in that moment of utter uncertainty, I realized this fight for love and the bonds we shared was only just beginning. I awoke in a soft, glowing light that enveloped me like the warmth of a hazy summer day. No longer did chaos swirl around me, no shadows clawed at my heart. I found myself in a serene landscape, where colors swirled harmoniously, a kaleidoscope of greens piercing through the crimson haze, and an infinite sky stretched overhead. It felt both alien and familiar, a different world born from the remnants of my past. Instinctively, I searched the swirling mist for any familiar faces, a breath hitching in my throat as I quietly called out, "Sam? Angela? Tommy?" My voice echoed, almost hesitant, as if the weight of my doubts extinguished the vibrations in the air. But instead of darkness or despair, echoes of laughter bounced playfully across the horizon. My heart tightened with confusion and hope as wisps of joy danced with my memories of them. Suddenly, a presence approached, a figure emerging from the luminescent fog. My breath caught as recognition surged through me, illuminating my soul with joy. "Mom?" I whispered, an emotional swell igniting at the sight of her gentle smile. She looked just as I remembered, the way sunlight filtered through her hair, the love radiating from her smile. "Mia," she said softly, her voice rich with warmth and a deep understanding that transcended time. "You've come so far. But this moment is only the beginning." I took a step forward, the bittersweet reality wrapping around me like a cocoon. I thought I lost everyone. I barely made it back. My heart throbbed with the yesterday's struggle, and that ache threatened to overshadow the brilliance surrounding us. "You're not lost anymore," she encouraged, walking closer, her hand reaching out as if to touch my face gently. "Your journey has never been about just surviving. It's about finding your way through the dark. It was always about love, connecting and cherishing the bonds forged through time." As she spoke, the vibrant colors surrounding us intensified, shimmering with a clarity that pierced through my lingering doubts. "But Lucas is a shadow you must face, but he is not the end," my mother interrupted gently. "Your strength radiates from those who stand beside you. They are part of you, intertwined in every moment, in every choice you face." A glimmer of understanding sparked within me as I began to feel the vibrant threads of connection woven through my heart, anchoring me against the tide of uncertainty. "So this is a moment of clarity, isn't it?" I murmured softly, the words flowing from the depths of my spirit. "Yes. Embrace it, Mia. You have the power to reshape your narrative." Suddenly, I heard a gallant cheer ripple through the air, the echoes of laughter I had longed to hear wrapping around me like a warm embrace. From the shimmering light, Sam appeared, his eyes gleaming with an unyielding light. Tommy bounded forward, his small arms outstretched with joy. Angela soon followed, her fierce spirit radiating strength, igniting the air with hope. "Mia!" Sam's voice rang like jubilant music, enveloping me in its ease. "You made it." "Of course I did," I replied, urgency rising with the realization that we were meant to face the shadows together. "I won't let you go again." As I spoke, warmth enveloped us, a palpable force of unity binding us as one. "We're not just memories," Tommy piped up, his small form bouncing with childlike enthusiasm. "We're heroes, remember? Superheroes." Angela stepped closer, her fierce determination etched across her face. "Together, we're a for sale light that demands to be seen, understood, and felt." Fueled by renewed resolve, I gripped their hands, feeling the warmth of love pulse through me. "Lucas may loom large, but he cannot extinguish our spirits. We rise together. Love binds us, and through that love, we'll rewrite the ending of this tragic tale." And as the words stitched through the air, the landscape around us transformed. Light surged forth, illuminating the remnants of my fears, piercing through the darkness that had seemed insurmountable for so long. Our connection deepened, and I felt the boundaries of the past dissolving, the chains of doubt loosening their grip on my heart. Side by side, we faced Lucas, a vast shadow bursting forth, full of rage and desperation. "You think you can defy me?" he snarled, the darkness swirling violently around him, determined to drown us. "You're nothing without your regrets, Mia, but standing together, An undeniable strength radiated through us, overwhelming his menacing visage. "Your shadows do not define us," I declared, my voice echoing triumphantly. "We are stronger than you know. We rise because we choose to stand in light." With each word spoken, waves of light surged forth, pushing back against the darkness that sought to entrap us again. "You're alone in your rage, Lucas!" Angela shouted fiercely, embodying the fiery spirit that flickered vibrantly within her. "We are united, woven together by hope and love." The challenge reverberated through the air, and Lucas faltered. The darkness shuddered, brittle against our heart's collective strength. I could feel our resolve solidifying, illuminating the void around us. "Tommy, let your strength shine," I encouraged, watching him nod fiercely. With his small hands glowing brightly, he pushed forward, sparks igniting the air, fueling our resolve. With Sam by my side, we moved in unison, a timeless dance of light and love, the shadows shrinking before us. The cacophony of memories surged around us, a chorus of laughter and cries blending into powerful harmonia, testament to the vibrant life we shared, even in the darkest moments. Lucas' roar echoed with both fury and dismay, a rift opening before him as the power of our connection overwhelmed the shadows. "No! This can't be happening!" he cried, desperately retreating into the depths that birthed him. Yet we surged forward, fueled by the belief that no darkness could hold sway against this alliance. "We are more than our pain!" I shouted, piercing through the chaos with words emboldened by love. "Together, we hold the light." As we drew closer, the light enveloped us like a shield, staving off the dark, the very essence of our beings intertwining within the luminous fabric of our shared purpose. And in that moment of undeniable unity, I knew the chains cast by fear had been broken. Lucas disintegrated before us like smoke in a breeze, his presence fading into whispers of anger and despair. With every flicker of light we exuded, shadows dissolved into the air, leaving nothing but the brilliance of our joined hearts blazing like a beacon against the night. We finally stood in silence, breathless and united, the remnants of the chaos fading, replaced by brilliance and the gentle whispers of the past. One by one, the walls of my burdens crumbled, revealing the songs of love, laughter, and friendship that made me whole once more. "How did you do it, Mia?" Sam asked, his eyes alive with wonder, a glint of admiration coursing through them. I think I breathed heavily, feeling warmth spreading through me like sunlight after a storm. I learned that love is a force, one that triumphs even against a world of shadows. We're here to lift each other, each step forging a path to light. Tommy stretched his arms wide, shining radiantly, a smile sweeping across his small face. "We did it!" Together, as the brilliant colors around us sparkled vibrantly, the light filled every corner of my heart. At that moment, I knew the end of this journey marked a beautiful beginning. The whispers of the past had transformed into melodies of hope, the kind born from love forged in shared experiences and battles fought as a family. Together, we took a step forward, a new dawn birthed on the horizon, our hearts intertwined, promising that we would rise, again and again, fueled by the light we found in one another. And as I turned to embrace the warmth surrounding me, my mother's smile echoed in the light, soft and gentle, making my heart swell. And perhaps, just perhaps, the final line of this long journey whispered from the depths of my soul, in a world filled with darkness, love still shines the brightest.